what the hell's going on in your city, brother? You're New York born and raised. So I'm sure PBD wants to ask you about this.
Tell me, because I see it feels no different.
Really?
But where you're in Brooklyn?
No, I live in Manhattan.
Okay, so you're in Manhattan. So I mean, from what we're seeing talking
about the migrant crisis,
just
right?
from the migrant crisis, just from she deployed 750 troops into the subways to check bags with long rifles, mind you. That's National Guard. That's pretty serious shit.
Yeah. Who deployed?
Coco. Yeah, she did that. I mean, you see what they're doing with the beating up the cops and all that stuff. And I get it. It's not hitting home yet. I think it's starting to we have a video of just in the train station. I mean, this is just New York. I'm from Yonkers, bro. Yeah. They're in the train station. These guys are fighting. One pulls out a knife, starts stabbing another guy. The guy that pulls out a gun gets the gun taken away, and he's shot in the head. And this is the pandemonium in the subway. So that's the fight started. The guy in the yellow.
What city is that in?
New York.
I think this is in Brooklyn. That guy right there with the yellow, he has a knife. The black guy on the left has a gun. Yeah. They get into a squabble, and then the guy in the yellow takes the gun and shoots him in the head. And this is in New York.
Okay, don't play the shooting.
Yeah. No. But you should look at the pandemonium just in the train station.
But I mean, that's a.
Well, what he's saying is, Andrew's saying it's the same.
Yeah, like
so this has always been like.
Yeah. But I'm saying, I get it. But when it comes to the illegals beating the shit out of cops, robbing people, and then they get into jail, and the next day they're out and they're doing this, I have a huge problem with that.
So the New York thing is really interesting because I looked this up a little bit. Okay, so New York is America, I guess, and I didn't even know this. I didn't know you could just walk up to the border and be like, "Yo, I'm seeking asylum." I didn't know.
That's kind of the whole thing.
You don't even have to sneak in. Why would you fucking sneak in? You could just walk up and be like, "Hey, I'm here," and we'll take you in, and then we'll look at your case for like 2 years to decide if it's like a legit asylum case. And in those 2 years, after you're already in, then you could fuck off and go wherever you want, and nobody would ever know where you are. Okay. I'm not saying that this is something that is like a legal thing to do, but that is another option instead of just like running and trying to jump over a fence, right? Now, New York, I think, is the only big city in the country that has a right to shelter law. And this was developed for our homeless population, not for migrants.
Yeah.
So it's a cold city. It's a very wealthy city. The idea that there'd be people sleeping on the street while people are making billions of dollars on Wall Street, it was a little disgusting. And I'm sure it is a little bit liberal leaning. So they were like, let's try to find a way we can take care of these people. And I think what happened is illegal immigrants or asylum seekers are taking advantage of a law that was not made for them. And that is really trying to swell the system. Mm-hmm. We were already at capacity, and now you have like, I think 50% more illegals in the city than were in the last year or something like that. And the system, I guess, can't hold it. Now, we don't feel it a lot in New York. It's really hard because like everybody's looks like an immigrant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's some like all white city and then randomly there's somebody from Sudan there and people go, oh, what the fuck is that? So it's really hard to be like, oh, that's an illegal in New York, right? But that is the problem. And they are taking advantage of something that's not really built for them. And in a lot of ways affecting the homeless population in New York, the people who actually need it. Because homelessness isn't something that exists in perpetuity. It's like some people are all, are down bad for like a year. And the fact that they have shelter, they're able to come back. But those people now can't as easily. So that's why New York is in this kind of tricky situation.
But Schulz, are you saying that you haven't seen anything change? So like we've had Rudy Giuliani on the podcast. Yeah. Obviously he cleaned up the city in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then there was Bloomberg. He overwhelmingly, I think, had a good approval rating. But then after de Blasio, the city collectively has just gone to shit. Perception is reality a lot of times. You might say otherwise different. Now Eric Adams, former police,
in my bubble,
trying to clean it up. Yeah.
I literally could be in my bubble. Like I work 10-minute walk from my place. I get coffee, 3 minutes. Like I'm in this little section of New York that maybe just isn't as affected. That's the reality of the matter. And maybe there are certain areas that are way more affected than others. I know there are like certain hotels that are completely filled, I think, with the asylum seekers. And I guess we're paying for that. And, it's a tricky situation. What do you do? I don't know. I'm all about, I mean, yeah.
It's not that difficult that when you say something like, hey, listen, Eric Adams, Man, the hell with what they're saying on the right. Everybody come on. When you open your mouth and then now it affects you and now it's like, wait a minute. Y'all got to get the hell out of here. It's too late. The damage has been done.
Eric was actually being a shrewd politician. He was using it to get more funding. So what he did is he said, and this is how the game works, I guess. He goes, listen, we're swollen. We can't handle it anymore. And he goes to the Fed and he goes to the state government. He goes, guys, I can't even recruit a new class of police cadets. I'm sorry, we can't do it. We don't have the money to do it. Mm-hmm. We got to shut down programs in schools. We don't have the money to do it. And what happens? He gets some money, and then none of the shit ever got shut down in the first place.
Yeah, weird.
So he's being shrewd about it too. He's
weird.
Good
fun.
And when you were talking about and Andrew, just to go back a little bit, when we were talking about the pride in America and veteran and the country, my mom and dad, legal immigrants, Pat, legal immigrant, we served, my brother, my sister,
legal,
loser.
Yeah.
But it's just sad because that pride. Only when tragedy happens. Remember 9/11, bro? That week following, you people were, I don't give a shit if you were black, white, tall shirt. Nobody gave a shit. It was us against everybody.
I guess here's my question for you.
Us against the cab drivers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here's my question for you. How much of it is you defending your city? How much of it is your pride in your city? Where it's kind of like a code, I'm not going to trash my own city. Mm-hmm. How much of it is pride, family, mom, dad, history, what you build? How much of it is the bubble that you're talking about? Maybe I'm the bubble, 10 minutes, walk, I get my coffee, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, so I'm living in this community. How much of it is just, not seeing it, not watching the news to see what's going on with New York City?
I think a lot of it is
the last one?
Not watching the news, being in my bubble, and also coming up in New York in a time where it was like way more dangerous. So now when I see it and it's a fucking Apple store, I'm like, what are these people complaining about? Like when I was younger, like one winter, me and every one of my friends got robbed for our North Face. We all had North Face jackets and every one of us got robbed. So that was just like a rite of passage. So I'm hearing about people getting robbed now, and I'm like, oh, did you get robbed? Oh, did they take something for you? Welcome to the fucking club. Like, it was, when we were, our middle school, we're 12 years old. Our middle school had to make an announcement and say, please don't wear red to school around Halloween because there's a gang initiation. And if anybody asks you what time it is, do not tell them, because they're going to slice your face with a box cutter.
Jeez.
So that was what they were telling 11 and 12-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm not the most alarmist because I grew up at a time where New York was objectively much more dangerous than it is now. Much more. You could get away with shit. There weren't fucking cameras everywhere. Like, so it is a very different time. It could be, by the data, way worse. I haven't experienced it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Got it.
Just like some guy in San Francisco that exists on the marina, that beautiful marina.
Yeah.
They're not going to see the Tenderloin where people are shooting up. They never would go there. They're not getting their groceries there. They'd never even be there. So they're like, oh, everybody's just shitting on San Francisco because we're this liberal city. So when it's not perfect, everybody's going to bag on us the most. There are way more fucking homeless in Los Angeles than there are in San Francisco. It's not even close. There's like a whole city of homelessness in Los Angeles.
There's not even a question. LA is the number one city for that. Yeah, but even in San Francisco, like a couple people whose concerns is where this lady that just got elected, who won the election committee in San Francisco now,
Kelly Wong,
is a Chinese.
Kelly Wong,
who's only been in America for 4 years, and she's doing interviews in Chinese. But she is now sworn in as San Francisco Election Commission. Little concerning, right after the event they did in San Francisco with, she coming in with Gavin Newsom and cleaning up the streets. But the data, people leaving New York, I wonder, how many friends do you have, do you have? Because I know you lived here for 4 months, give or take. How many guys do you have that moved to Florida during COVID and they're back to New York?
I don't know. Well, just our crew. Florida is amazing. I think one of the things that happens with New York, though, New York has tons of pride. An immense amount of pride. We love our city. Every time you see it in a movie, it's romantic. Even if the movie's supposed to give you anxiety, it's still sexy. Like you see a uncut gems. Yeah. And you're in the Diamond District, and you're like, oh my God, there's life here.
Electricity.
Right? Yeah. Oh man, this is incredible. Everything about this city is incredible. And so we have a lot of pride. And I think, like, for example, every New Yorker growing
up. What a weird movie, by the way, Uncut Gems. So go ahead. The way it ended was confusing, but go ahead.
It was, but amazing.
For sure.
Safdie's fucking
By the way, he made the most money last year as an actor, $73 million.
Get out of here.
2023, the number one earner was Sandler, $73 million. Yeah. But go ahead.
So, so I think what happens is New Yorkers, we have so much pride and sometimes when you have so much pride, you don't even, like, we think, okay, how do I put this together? New York, we're like, this is the greatest city in the world, right? I felt that before I ever left New York. So how the fuck would I know, right? The thing about New York is it's surrounded by objectively shitty places. So when you do leave, you're like, yeah, it must be the best. Oh my God, Connecticut? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, the fuck is in Connecticut, right? You go across the bridge and you're in fucking Hoboken. You're like, yeah, thank God I'm not in Hoboken, right? Everything around it kind of sucks. Yeah. So it reinforces this idea like, this is the greatest ever. And it is the greatest ever, don't get me wrong. But a lot of New Yorkers would never even consider, and there is an arrogance, this like coastal elitism. You never even consider moving to a Utah. And then New Yorkers go to Utah and we're like, whoa, trees are cool. Fucking animals are nice. I saw a deer. Deer is beautiful. You ever look at a deer? You know, and then we experience this like calm and we're like existing within nature. And I think a lot of us are really compelled to do that. A lot of my friends who I grew up with leave New York. They leave. It's a hard city to like grow up in and then live in forever. You know, like if you're not in New York for your business, you're kind of an idiot. Like, if that's where you're making your money or your passion or your art, and you need to be there for that, that's where I make my art, and I need to be there for that. That makes sense. But if you're working at UPS and you can make the same money living in Denver or living in Florida and pay half the taxes, and kids go to a good school, a beautiful neighborhood with a pool and soccer practice and all this other shit, like, I get that. I get that. And yeah, so I understand what happened during the pandemic where New Yorkers experience a new thing and they're like, oh, I want to check this out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it's crazy. I'm looking at it right now. Do you know out of the last Republican governor New York had was Pataki, which was 95 to 07. Yep. Okay. And if you look at the last 4 consecutive Democrats, and if we go from 1975 till today, only one governor has been Republican. Everybody else has been Democrat.
Now, I will say something. New Yorkers don't care about our governors. Like, I don't know who the governor is.
You care about your mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because New York is the state. New York City.
Totally get it.
Whoever the mayor is the governor.
You think the mayor has more power than the governor in New York?
We don't know if they do, but we're like, yo,
to you, it's a bigger...
Literally, we're like, yo, Mayor Adams, get that bitch in line, yo.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
I just found out it was a lady. I had no clue. We had a blind guy governor. Remember that? Remember the blind guy governor?
Yeah.
He replaced somebody else.
David Patterson.
That's how little we give a fuck about the governor.
He didn't even know he was in New York.
He's a Simpson. So it's like we don't care about the governor. The governor is meaningless. It's mayor, and then it doesn't matter what happens outside of New York City.
Totally feel that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like that in Miami, too. Yeah.
If you go there and you go look at New York City mayor from day one, if you go to it and you look at the only reason I'm saying this is because, so you got what? You got Adams, you got de Blasio, you got Bloomberg, so back to back to back. That's since 2002. Prior to that, Giuliani. Then you had Dinkins.
Koch.
Then you had Koch. Yeah. Then you had Abraham Beam. Then you had John Lindsay. Then you had Robert F. Wagner Jr. By the way, everything I said to you except for Giuliani has been the left. Okay? Yeah. Everything except for Giuliani. And prior to that, it was LaGuardia, which was 12 years Republican, right? Policies. It's Trump actually is thinking that he could win New York. Very weird to think about that.
I don't think it's New Yorkers. This is a financial hub. Like we're liberal in that we think gays make cool shit. That's it. We're not liberal in terms of our financial policy.
But they don't go to heaven, though.
Listen. You guys decided that. No, you guys. Yeah, the Jews made that one a long time ago. That Old Testament. Old Testament is rough. Rough for the gays, the Old Testament.
Have you read the Quran?
Listen, yeah, but that's later. They working off of your source material.
That's right. The Old Testament started it all, baby.
I'm just saying.
Y'all ripping our stuff.
That's
the Christians, the Muslims.
Exactly.
Thanks. Shout out to Moses out there.
But the Christians mix it up in the coolest way. That's what I love about the Christians.
But why do you like the gays so much in New York?
Because they just make dope shit.
Like what?
I don't know. Like when you're not trying to fuck pussy all the time, like you can just create cool stuff.
That's my problem.
Do you know what I mean? Like they make cool. Exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like a gay guy wouldn't wear that outfit.
No, like, ew.
You know what I mean?
Ew.
A gay guy would never do that. Maybe they put in some fashiony thing together. You know, they make some beautiful theater piece. And there's some great art, dancing. Like they do make dope shit. Like if you're in New York, so we love their contributions to our society and culture. Right? It's really important to us. And it's important that they're able to flourish because we enjoy the things that they create, right? You're not going to go to musical theater without gays. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You taking your kids to fucking Harry Potter the musical? There's some queens in that shit. You know, frolicking the fuck around. No straight guy goes, I can't wait to be in Harry Potter the fucking musical, right? It's not possible. So we like it, but outside of that, we're like a money city. You know, this is the financial hub of the world. So we're not going to have some guy coming in here who's going to clip us in the balls and our ability to make money. We know what we're after. And so I think that's why the Republicans